Hi there YouTube, that's the Aston Martin all finished and painted, and yeah, it's gone in well. I'm pleased with it, to be fair. I was a bit worried because I had no reference for the colour chip wise, and when I cameraed the car, it said the formulation was pretty far out, so and it said blending only on on the formulation, so. But no, it's blended in okay. Yeah, I'm happy with it. If you really look, you may be able to see a slight transition of the undercoat where the pearl sort of it's gone over the existing pearl. That can sort of highlight the undercoat sometimes on the 3-stage pearls, where you put more pearl in your blend area. Obviously there's not as much pearl on your undercoat. There's like them sort of discrepancies can show up a little bit, but no, it's blended in really well, and yeah, colours are right. Sometimes colours like this can be a bit forgiving on blending and stuff because they flip so much on different light angles and curves. You can sort of lose it a little bit in that way, you know. They don't have to match spot on edge to edge. But yeah, where the colour changes on the panel, sort of, you know, it takes your eye away from maybe some blending that may show a little bit. But this car's had quite a lot of paint. It's masked up at the moment, but this side you can sort of see. I'll show you. You might not be able to see it. You can see it's had sort of blending low down. You can sort of see clouding through here, where it's either been blown in from the top or the bottom, whatever way. But yeah, not knocking their work, because the clear coat looks lovely on it. But yeah, it has definitely had a little bit of paint work here and there. And yeah, because of that, if you have seen the other Astons that I've done on the channel, these are hand flat and polished from factory. So yeah, you want to try and replicate that finish so it matches. But this car's had, where it's had paint, it's got gum finish on the sides. I don't know if you can see that. This door's had paint, and it's got gum finish on it. So they haven't the front end's all hand flat and polished, it looks like. I've said before in previous videos, they're not like complete glass, but they're definitely not a gun finish on these Astons, and there is different sort of severities of how much they're flat and polished. I've noticed over the ones I've worked on, they do all look slightly different. Some are flatter than others, and yeah, some are a bit more orange peelier than others. So yeah, try to match replicate the factory finish to the panels adjacent to what you've painted. So yeah, so with this one, I'm not going to flat and polish it completely, because the panel next to it isn't flat and polished. Someone's painted it and they've left it as a gum finish. It's not a bad finish. The top looks a bit flatter, to be fair, because you can get a bit more clear coat up there, I suppose. But yeah, down the side of it, it's gum finish. It's not flat and polished. So it's pointless me making my panel next to it look like how it should look from factory to try and replicate the factory finish. There's no point in me doing that, because it's just going to stand out to this door. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a flat, but yeah, I'm going to pretty much keep it as gum finish to match the panel that's next to it. There's no point in me making it sort of flatter, because it just stand out. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Obviously there's quite a lot of base coat on this, so it was 3 coats of the undercoat, and I put 3 coats of pearl on in the end. I've done two on the spray out, and it looked quite good, but the pearl gives it that bit of a yellow tinge on the flop, so I just put another one on there. So it's had 6 coats of base coat in this area. So as sort of it's just dyed a tiny little bit, it's shriveled back a little bit. So I'm just going to give it a sort of a light flat through there, nothing major. I'm not going to try and get it get it looking like glass or anything like that, and yeah, and just give it a flat and a polish. So yeah, do a bit of footage on the flat and polishing. Alright YouTubes, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the channel. I thought I'd show a little bit extra of the video I've put up of the Aston Martin corrosion repair, 3-stage pearl. If you haven't seen that video, go and check it out if you want to see the repair and the painting stage. But yeah, apologies for the lack of voiceover on the last video. Just weren't feeling up to it, to be honest with you, so I've got the video out. And I didn't include this part in the video, so I thought I'd just show this as just a little part to show you it finished and the final end results of it. So yeah, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's had some previous paint, so it wasn't fully flatted down. I had just a little bit of pinch back on the clear coat, nothing major at all. Could have got away with just leaving it as it was, to be honest with you. It's pretty clean, but I like to be happy with the work, and I like it to satisfy me, and hopefully most of the time, 9 times out of 10, if it satisfies me, it satisfies the customer. So yeah, I like to go that little extra mile, really, for my own satisfaction more than anything, to be honest with you. So yeah, this one I just give it a bit of a sand off with that was just 2000 grit. It was like the 3M blue foam backed pads. It was a bit of a worn one as well, a bit of an old one. So just give it a light going over with some 2000. Just took a little bit of texture out of it, and then just a 3000 Trizac now going over it. Yeah, didn't spend too much time doing that really. Like I say, just take a bit of haze off of it. Just a little, with layering on that amount of base coat, you're going to create a little bit of texture in the base coat with that amount of coats on there, and you're always going to get a little bit of sort of drawing back in the clear coat. But I'll be honest with you, I've had a lot worse with other paint systems that I've used in the past, and I don't seem to have hardly any of that happening with Mipa. Even after that 6 coats, the base coat still felt really smooth. It looked really smooth. You can normally tell when you tap rag it how rough it feels, and that's going to influence your clear coat finish at the end of it. Once it's all done and it's all dried through, that's going to sort of show up a little bit. So yeah, it's not really an issue with the Mipa. I don't have any issues with that at all. It lays down nice and flat, and there's always a nice transition between, in your blend area and stuff. So yeah, the 3000 all over just to refine it a little bit, and then yeah, I use Kosh Chemi. That's heavy cut. It's like the quick. That one's called heavy cut, like quick heavy cut. It's designed more. They got a couple of heavy cuts. That Kosh Chemi one's designed more for fresh paint and for flatting marks. It's more orientated towards that. I do like it. I do get on well with it. It's really clean to use. As you see, I always clean my pads out every time I finish doing a polishing job. I wet the pad up, and then I spin it. I brush it, spin it, and then blow it out the airline. And I seem to get so much more life out of my polishing pads by doing that, by cleaning them out every time, just getting them wet, blowing them out with the airline. They seem to be lasting a long time doing that, instead of just spinning them and brushing them, where you start taking all the foam off of them. So yeah, that Kosh Chemi heavy cut, I use that. That's a Roops coarse backing foam pad on there, so that's a Roops foam pad, and the Kosh Chemi heavy cut, that's a combination I use. I use the Roops machines and the heads, and I use a Kosh Chemi, and I do use a 3M cutting compounds as well. I find with that Kosh Chemi heavy cut, as you see just a minute ago, I prime up the pad first, get some polish into it, get some polish on the panel, and then sort of start off really slow, get it all to work into the pad and work over the panel, and then start speeding it up. And as you can see, there's like no flicker off of it. don't get barely any dust off of it, so that really minimises the cleaning up doing it that way. And the Kosh Chemi polishes are really good for that, for not flicking about everywhere and going dry and dusty. But the only downside to that I find with them is that heavy cut can be quite greasy. Even for a heavy cut, it leaves a nice gloss on there, which is a bit false really. That side of it I'm not as keen, but that's probably the only way they can make that polish be as clean as it is, and glide over the panel well. It cuts really well, but it has got some fillers in it, so just give that a degrease now, just to see if there's any any flattening marks that have reappeared. So now I'm happy that all the flattening marks are out, and I'll do second stage with dual action, and I use the Kosh Chemi micro cut, and I've got Roops Bigfoot dual action, and that's the smaller one, so the medium sized one, so that's the 15mm throw on that one. And I use the Roops heads, and that's the ultra fine cutting head. And that combo works really well as well. Sometimes I use the medium cut as well. Sometimes, if it's a darker colour, I might do a medium cut in between, just to take any sort of haziness out of that may be left from the heavy cut. But you can go to either really. The micro cut will refinish the heavy cut swirl marks anyway. So it works really well. That combination, I find. I was using the Kosh Chemi heads on the dual action, and they were okay, but I found they could be a little bit unbalanced, and they don't seem to last as long as the Roops ones neither. So yeah, just give it a micro cut all over, and just go into that panel next to it, the door next to it, just to sort of tie it all in. I do find with the dual action machines to try and keep your polish even on the pad. If it starts loading up too much for polish, less is more really with them. They can be a bit sensitive to being sort of unbalanced, and then that causes vibration in your hands. They're quite harsh on your hands anyway, the dual action machines. And then once you start getting them too loaded up with polish, they can become really unbalanced and start wobbling around everywhere. Sort of bigger jobs I do clean out as I'm going really, but they work really well, and you can really refine your polishing with a dual action machine. They're definitely worth having, as well as your rotary. They both got a purpose, and the combination of them together, especially on the darker colours, works really well. It's nothing worse than you can polish something, it looks great, indoors and in shaded light outside, and then you swing it out into the sun and you can see all the buffer trails everywhere. There's nothing worse than that. That can ruin a good job. You're not really going to see it on colours like this, but on the darker colours, I think it's a must that you would use a combination of a rotary and a dual action polisher. Just thought I'd show the polishing stage on this, just to finish this job off, and pleased with the results. It all come out well. Rick's done a good job on the preparation, and yeah, it was only a small little repair. But they can always be a little bit of trouble, these Astons, to work on. But yeah, it all went fine, and for once, the colour off the scheme. This is probably the first Aston on my channel that I've actually used the formulation off of my Mipa paint scheme, and it matched okay, even though the camera said it was quite far away. The spray up card looked okay. It looked pretty decent. So yeah, that's a first. But yeah, thanks for watching, and really appreciate it. And yeah, got some nice jobs coming up soon. Once I find time to put the videos together and edit them, and yeah, we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Right then, YouTubes, that's the Aston Martin DB9 all finished, and yeah, I'll give you a quick look. Tried to get the sun on it, but the sun's facing the other way, but it all blended in nice. Yeah, colour went in really well. Really pleased with that. And yeah, like I said on the polishing, it was these are flat and polished from factory, and there's a variety of finishes that I've seen on them, but they have some sort of flat and polishing done. But where this door's had paint, it looks like they may have flat and polished the top of it. It's quite flat, glassy looking, but then the rest of it's sort of standard gun finish. So I've just tried to match that really. I just took a bit of the top of the texture off of our finish, and yeah, and flat and polish the top a little bit. Nothing major. And yeah, looks the same as the door. I just thought if I flat and polished it how they should be, it would stand out a little bit to that door. So yeah, but yeah, no, the colour's gone in really well, and yeah, really like this colour. It's nice, and yeah, it was worth blending that bumper. We'd have had a bit of a discrepancy there, and yeah, can't see where I've blended it. So yeah, all good, all come out all right. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and we'll see you again in the next one. Look after yourselves. Cheers.